There's so many things you gotta focus on when you're preparing for the PTE. For example, you gotta be familiar with the sequence of the exam because you won't have time to read the instructions. So that also means you must manage your time well. And then you also must pay attention to whether or not your mic is positioned correctly. What do any of those things have to do with English? And then on top of that, you have external elements that can also affect your score. And those are the things that I want to talk about today. Now, in my last video, I talked about the rumors and the changes in the PTE algorithm. So of course, you know me, I'm going to put that to the test. And I did. So I have some updates for you. But I'll get to that at the end. As I mentioned before, there are many things you got to focus on when you're preparing for the PTE. So here are 3 external things you got to be aware of when you're preparing for this exam. Number 1, if you're looking for someone to help you prepare for the PTE, you need to be able to identify whether or not they know what they're talking about. There are a lot of liars and cheats out there posing as PTE trainers. So you need to be able to separate the reals from the fake ones. And I'm going to give you an example of a fake one right here. I had a person contact me because they were unsuccessful in obtaining their score. So I was trying to determine what the problem was, so I asked her a bunch of questions. And when I got to the right from dictation, I wanted to know her technique. I wanted to know what she was doing for that task. So this is her response. By now, everybody and their mama should know how important the right from dictation is. But unfortunately, she must have met the only dumbass on the planet that didn't know how to use Google. Because if you just Google right from dictation in the PTE, you'll see many people talk about how important this task is. And you'll also see that nowhere in the PTE scoring do they say that grammar actually counts against your right from dictation score. This woman didn't fail the PTE. She got cheated. Don't let this happen to you. So if you're looking for a PTE tutor, know the right questions to ask. Number 2, the staff members that work at the test centers do not work for the PTE. They have no power over you. Don't let them intimidate you. Unless you cheat. Don't cheat. Unless you cheat, then they have power over you. As I mentioned earlier, we wanted to test out the changes in the algorithm. So we went to the Sydney Olympic Park. A teacher that I work with, she went to test out the exam to see what kind of changes they made at Sydney Olympic Park. I'll give you the results after this because that's the number 3 thing that I want to talk about. Anyways, one of the staff members there, a man, was extremely rude. He was yelling at the women, only women, including my colleague, about instructions, about following his instructions. The way that he spoke to them was belittling. He made them feel like he was superior and very impolite, basically. If someone yells at you like that before or during the exam, that can change your whole mood. You might not even be focused or concentrated on the exam anymore. So I want to warn you about that if something like this happens. So how are you supposed to react if you encounter a bitch ass like this when you go and take your exam? Now, first of all, we must understand, like a person like this, I'm certain they would never, ever speak in that tone to a man on the streets. So we must view him for what he is, a child. And what do I mean by that? Now, sometimes you might see a child out shopping with their parents or something like that, and they throw a fit. They're kicking, they're screaming, they're yelling, and they're just trying to get the attention of others. You don't get upset. Sometimes you might even feel like, oh, that's adorable. You smile, you might even laugh. Because you know the children are harmless. This is the same way you will view a staff member like that if they try to talk to you like they have some type of authority over you. Because in reality, what authority do they have? If you have a problem with your computer and it freezes in the middle of the exam, they'll restart it for you. You have to finish the exam. They can't even make the decision on whether or not to give you another exam. If you're so sick and you get a doctor's note to prove that you can't actually physically take the exam, they can't even postpone the exam for you. They will tell you that they cannot postpone the date. You have to contact PTE directly. These people are just employees. They're there to do their job. Their job is not to scare you, to intimidate you, or to threaten you. So if that happens to you, just smile and nod. Pretend you don't speak English because they automatically assume you can't speak English anyways, so f them. Number 3, lastly, let's talk about those results. Remember the rumors, how the algorithm is so smart now that you can't use this technique, you can't use that technique, you gotta use whatever the hell they're selling you, right? So we put it to the test. What do you think happened? First of all, let me explain this. Everything that you see me teach on YouTube for speaking and for writing, those are techniques that I don't actually use in my classes anymore. Those are what we call the old techniques, right? So let me show you a little bit something about the old techniques. Because when we went to test out techniques, we didn't actually test these techniques. Just recently, in the past couple weeks, people have sent me their scores, telling me that they passed just by watching my YouTube videos. They just wanted to say thank you. They did not have any classes with me. I do not know these people. They just said that they watched YouTube, my videos, and they passed. Old techniques. So when my colleague went to test out the techniques, it was the more recent ones that we're using in class now, but still, we didn't adjust anything to account for any changes in the algorithm. And what do you think happened? Nothing. The results stayed the same. Well over 79. Like I said last time, there are people trying to scare you on YouTube. They want you to feel like that they know something that nobody else does. There you have it. Those are the outside elements that can affect your PTE outcome, and you want to be aware of that. So just to recap, 1, make sure your tutor is qualified. 2, don't get intimidated by these staff members. They have no authority over you. Just because they want to throw a hissy fit and trying to ruin your day and take you off your focus, just smile and nod. 3, people on YouTube are full of shit, especially me. I'm just joking, but you can take it how you want to take it. That's it for today, so I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.